Hello, friends. Now we have studied till essential element of valid contract as not per the section 10. So we will be studying from here essential element of valid contract as per section 10. First, we will revise something. We'll revise what we have studied. We have what we have understand in previous lecture in lecture number 1 of CA foundation law. We have studied that we have seen that we are going to start Indian contract at 1872 with unit 1 of nature of contract. We have studied what we are going to study in this chapter, and we have seen the flow chart. What are the various essential elements of contract, and what types of contract, and what are the elements of contract. We have seen the introduction. We have seen why the contract is necessary for our country. We see that there is a seller and buyer, so there is a contract between them, and there should be legal there should be legality between them. Means that they should apply rules so that they can do their business carefully and appropriately, and with that there will not be any nuisance, and there will not be any problem, and any so that there will not be any problem between them, so that they can get their answer, so that they can find reliable information. So means they can give go in the right path, so that there will be no problem. And we have seen what is a contract. A contract is an agreement which is enforceable by law, and we have also seen what is an agreement and what is mean by promise. And we have seen a lot of example, and we have seen the difference between the agreement and contract. And we have seen what are the essential elements of valid contract as not per section 10. These are the essential elements of valid contract. There are two parties in the contract. When one cannot contract with himself, and we can see the example. Mm, parties must intend to create the parties must intend to create legal relationship. It means that there should not be any uh, fraud, illegal things among the parties. There should be legal relationship, means as per the rules, as per the law, as per the act, means for the benefit of the country. We have seen some examples, and other formalities to be compiled with certain cases. uh, Certainty of meaning and possibility of performance of an agreement. And okay, we have seen these 5 points. Now we are going to see essential element of valid contract as per section 10, and this is a flowchart, and we will be continuing from here. According to section 10 of Indian Contract Act 1872, the following are the essential elements of valid contract. Okay, first point: offer and acceptance or an agreement. First point is offer and acceptance or an agreement. An agreement is first essential element of valid contract. According to section 2E of Indian Contract Act 1872, every promise and every set of promise forming consideration for each other is an agreement. And according to section 2B, a proposal when accepted becomes promise. An agreement is an outcome of offer and acceptance. Offer and acceptance or an agreement. Offer once means that one person who is giving offer to another person for for the for forming the contract, and acceptance by the another person to the offerer, so that they can form an agreement or contract. See, there are two person, offerer and an offeree. Offerer is the person who gives the offer, and offer is the person who gives the accept the offer. So, and there will be agreement, and it is legally enforceable, and that will be contract. See, and here we see that an agreement is first essential element of valid contract. See, agreement is the first essential element of valid to be to to do a valid contract. There must be first agreement between them. According to Section 2E of Indian Contract Act 1872, every promise and every set of promise forming consideration for each other is an agreement. This is the definition of agreement. And according to Section 2B, a proposal when accepted becomes promise. And see, it is a definition of promise. A proposal when accepted becomes promise. See, when offer is accepted by the another person, it becomes a promise. An agreement is an outcome of offer and acceptance. See, an agreement, it is the outcome of offer and acceptance. Means it is an outcome of offer and acceptance. When there is an offer plus acceptance, it is an agreement. Second point, free consent. Two or more persons are said to consent when they agree upon the same thing in the same sense. See, this can also be understood as identity of minds in understanding the terms which consensus added up. See, two or more persons are said to consent when they agree upon same thing in the same sense. Two or more, they are said to consent when they agree the same thing. When there is a contract between the two person, when they do a contract between them, and there is the mm, when there is a consent of the two parties which is same in the same sense. This can also be understood as identity of mind in understanding the terms which consensus addendum. Further, such a consent must be free. Okay. Consent would be considered as free consent if it is not caused by coercion, undue fraud, misrepresentation, or mistake. Example: A, who owns two cars, is selling red car to B, and B thinks he is purchasing the black car. There is no consensus added on that, and hence no contract. See, A is willing to sell his red car to B, and B thinks that he is purchasing the black car. See, there are two cars, one is red car and one is black car. So A is selling his intention is to sell red car to B, but B thinks that A is intended to sell black car, so that B thinks that so that there is no consensus at them, that is meeting of minds. To determine consensus at Adam, the language of the contract should be clearly drafted. Thus, if A says, B, will you buy my red car for 30,000, and B says yes to it, there is said to be consensus added. That is, meaning is taken in sense by both the parties. See, when the A says that to B that will you buy my red car for 30,000, and B says yes, so that there is a consensus add, that is consensus add up, that is meeting of mind, so that there will be contract between them, and it will be valid, and yes, it will be valid. Example number two. Example number 12. A threatened to shoot B if B does not lend him 2,000, and B agreed to it. Here the agreement is entered into under coercion, and hence not a valid contract. See, uh, here A threatened to shoot B if B does not lend him 2,000, and B agreed to it. See, it is an agreement of, it is a coercion. See, when somebody threatens someone to do some action, that is that is coercion. Uh, Point number three, capacity of parties. Capacity to contract means the legal ability of a person to enter into valid contract. Section 11 of the Indian Contract Act specifies that every person is competent to contract who is of age of majority according to law to which he is subject and is of sound mind, is not otherwise disqualified from contracting by any law to which he is subject. A person competent to contract must fulfill all the above three qualifications. Capacity of parties. There must be capacity of the parties to enter into contract. See, one party should be a major person. He should not, he should be sane person, and he should not be disqualified by law. uh, these are the qualifications that is they given here. So qualification A refer to the age of contracting person, that is the person entering into contract must be of 18 years of age. Person below 18 years of age are considered minor, therefore incompetent to contract. Okay. No qualification B requires a person to be of sound mind, that is he should be in his senses so that he understands the implication of the contract at the time of entering into a contract. And a lunatic, an idiot, or a drunken person or under the influence of some intoxicant is not supposed to be a person of sound mind. Qualification C requires that a person entering into a contract should not be disqualified by this status. In entering into such contract, such person are an alien enemy, foreign sovereign convicts, etc. They are disqualified unless they fulfill certain formalities required by law. Contract entered by a person not competent to contract are not valid. Okay, so these are the person who are competent qualified to be a person to enter into a contract. The fourth point is consideration. It is referred to as quid pro quo. See, a consideration is stated as quid pro quo, that is something in return. A valuable consideration in the sense of law may consist either in some right, interest, profit, or benefit according to one party, or some forbearance, determined loss, or responsibility given, suffered, or undertaken by other. Example: A agrees to sell his book to B for 100. B promised to pay 100 is the consideration for A's promise to sell his book. A promise to sell the book is consideration for B promise to C. Here there are two parties, A and B. A want to sell his book to B, and B will pay for that book. Yeah, uh, A is selling the book to B, and B getting the book from A is the consideration for B, and B paying for the book to A, and A getting the money from B is the consideration for A. Lawful consideration and object. The consideration object of agreement must be lawful. Section 23 states that consideration or object is not lawful if it is prohibited by law or it is such as would defeat the provision of law. If it is fraudulent or involves injury to the person or property of another or courts regard it is as immoral or opposed to public policy. See, there should be lawful consideration and object between the person. Lawful consideration means that there should not be any illegality, there should not be anything which does not goes to the benefit of the people and does not goes to any dangerous to the person. Example 14. A promised to drop prosecution instituted against B for robbery and B promises to restore the value of the thing taken. The agreement is void as the object is unlawful. See, A promised to drop prosecution instituted by B for robbery. See, there is a robbery between A and B promises to restore the value of things taken. The agreement is void as its object is unlawful. See, the agreement is void and since the object is unlawful, since there is robbery, thus it is unlawful. A agrees to sell his house to B against 100 kg of cocaine. Such agreement is illegal as the consideration is unlawful. Point number 6. Not expressly declared to be void. The agreement entered into must not be with the law declared be either illegal or void. An illegal agreement is an agreement expressly or impliedly prohibited by law. A void agreement is one without any legal effects, not expressly declared to be void. The agreement entered into must not be which the law declares to be either illegal or void. See, the agreement it should not be illegal or void. An illegal agreement is an agreement expressly or impliedly prohibited by law. A void agreement is one without any legal effects, not expressly declared to be void. See, the agreement should not be expressly declared to be void. Okay. Example number 16. Threat to commit murder on making threat to commit murder or making or publishing defamatory statement or entering into agreement which are opposed to public policy or are illegal in nature. Similarly, any agreement in restraint of trade, marriage, legal proceeding, etc. are classic example of void agreement. Types of contract. Now let us discuss various types of contract. Types. See, this is the process of the types of contract. Here there are three parts of it. One is validity or enforceability. Second is formation. Third is performance. First, we will study the validity or enforceability. On the basis of validity, valid contract. An agreement which is binding and enforceable is a valid contract. It contains all the essential elements of a valid contract. Example 17. A asks B if he wants to buy his bike for 10,000. B agrees to buy bike. It is an agreement which is enforceable by law. Hence, it is a valid contract. See, valid contract means the terms and condition are proper, and there is no illegal, and it is not void, and it is subject to the benefit of the both the parties. There are two parties. For example, there are two parties, A and B. A agrees to sell his car to B for 30,000, and B accept that. He does not take any for default thing, or he does not do anything to A, and he accept as it is. So it is a valid contract. Okay. Second point, void contract. Section 2J states as follows: a contract which ceases to be enforceable by law becomes void when it ceases to be enforceable. Thus, a void contract is one which cannot be enforced by a court of law. See, a contract. See, void contract is a contract which is void. It is not valid. See, if example, we'll see the example. Mr. X agrees to write a book with publisher. Such contract is valid, but after few days, X dies in an accident. Here, the contract become void due to impossibility of performance of the contract. Thus, a valid contract when cannot be performed because of some uncalled happening becomes void. Example 2. A contract A contracts with B, owner of the factory, for supply of 10 tons of sugar. But before the supply is effected, the fire caught in the factory and everything was destroyed. Here the contract becomes void. It may be added by way of clarification here that when a contract is void, it is not a contract at all, but for the purpose of identifying it, it has to be called a void contract. Okay. See, in the first example, it is said that uh, A agrees. I will take I will take in my own words. See, one person has agreed to give his horse to the another person for a few days. No, no, no. One person has agreed to sell his horse to another person for 20,000 after 15 days. But within the 15 days, means after the seventh day, the horse died. So the contract become lapse because of unforeseen condition, and this become void contract. Void contract. Okay. And in example number two, here there is one factory owner contract with another party that he will supply his product to him after 30 days, but before the 30 days happening, they occur fire in his factory because of all the products have been destroyed, so that he cannot give his product to another party. That's why the contract becomes void. It may be added by way of, okay, I have added it. Point number three, voidable contract section 2I defines that an agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties thereto, but not at the option of other or others, is a voidable contract. This in fact means where one party of the parties to the agreement is in position or is legally entitled or authorized to avoid performing his part, then the agreement is treated and becomes voidable. Such a right might arise from the fact that the contract may have been brought about one or one of the parties by coercion, under influence, fraud, or misrepresentation, and hence the other party has the right to treat it as a voidable contract. Example: X promises to sell his scooter to Y for 1 lakh. However, the consent of X has been procured by Y at a gunpoint. X is an aggrieved party and the contract is voidable at his option but not on the option of Y. It means if X accepts the contract becomes valid contract. Then Y has no option of deciding the contract. At this juncture, it would be desirable to know distinction between void contract and a voidable contract. These are elaborated. Okay. Voidable contract. Yeah. See, in voidable contract, when options are given to the other party to do the make the contract valid or make it void, it is called as voidable contract. Now we will see the difference between void contract and voidable contract. First point, meaning a contract ceases to be enforceable by law becomes void when it ceases to be enforceable. Here a contract ceases to be enforceable by law when it ceases to a contract ceases to be enforceable by law becomes void when it ceases to be enforceable. A contract ceases to be enforceable by law becomes void when it ceases to be enforceable. Okay. Voidable contract. An agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one or more of the parties thereto, but not at the option of other or others, is a voidable contract. Enforceability. A void contract cannot be enforced at all. It voidable contract. It is enforceable only at the option of aggrieved party and not at the option of other party. Cause a contract becomes void due to change in law or change in circumstances beyond the contemplation of party. A contract becomes a voidable contract if the consent of a party was not free. Performance of contract. A void contract cannot be performed if the aggrieved party does not within reasonable time exercise his right to avoid the contract. Any party can sue the other for claiming the performance of the contract rights. A void contract does not grant any legal remedy to any party. The party whose consent was not free has the right to rescind the contract within a reasonable time. If so rescinded, it becomes a void contract. If it is not rescinded, it becomes a valid contract. Illegal contract. Point number 4. It is a contract which the law forbids to be made. The court will not enforce such a contract but also the connected contract. All illegal agreements are void, but all void agreements are not necessarily illegal. Despite this, there is similarity between them is that in both the cases they are void ab initio and cannot be enforced by law. Illegal contract. See, in illegal contract, their intention is unlawful, their intention to harm the people, so that it is an illegal contract. Illegal contract is definitely void, but all void agreements are not illegal contract. Example 21. Contract that is immoral or opposed to public policy are illegal in nature. Similarly, if R agrees with yes to purchase brown sugar, it is an illegal agreement. Okay. According to Section 2G of Indian Contract Act, an agreement not enforceable by law is void. The Act has specified various factors due to which an agreement may be considered as void agreement. One of these factors is unlawfulness of object and consideration of the contract, that is illegality of the contract which makes it void. The legal and void agreement differ from each other in the following respect. Basis on these are the difference between void agreement and illegal agreement. Scope. First point. A void agreement is not necessarily illegal. An illegal agreement is always void. Nature. Not forbidden under law. Are forbidden under law. Punishment. Parties are not liable for any punishment under the law. Parties to illegal agreement are liable for punishment. Collateral agreement. It's not necessary that agreement collateral to void agreement may also be void. It may be valid also. Agreement collateral to illegal agreement are always void. An enforceable contract, where the contract is good in substance but because of some technical defect, that is absence in writing, barred by limitation, etc., one or both the parties cannot be sued. It is described as an unenforceable contract. Example 22. A bought goods from B in 2015, but no payment was made till 2019. B cannot sue A for the payment in 2019 as it has crossed 3 years and barred by limitation act. A good debt becomes unenforceable after the period of 3 years as barred by limitation act. See, when there is an agreement between the parties, but after few years passed, so they will, so the agreement will be become void between them, so that it is an enforceable contract. Okay. No part two. No. Yes, of part two on the basis of formation of contract. First point, express contract. A contract would be an express contract if the terms are expressed by words or in writing. Section 9 of the Act provides that if a proposal or acceptance of any promise is made in words, the promise is said to be express. Example 23. A tells B on telephone that he offers to sell his house for 2 lakhs and B in reply informs A that he accepts the offer. This is an express contract. Okay, express contract. See, when a person tells to another person that he wants to buy his car for 20,000, this is an express contract. So there is sorry, when person tells to another person that he wants to sell his car for 20,000 to another person and the another person accept the offer, and so there will be contract between them. Thus is this situation is called as express contract. Second point, implied contract. Implied contract in contracts come into existence by implication. Most often the implication is by action or conduct of parties or course of dealing between them. Section 9 of the Act contemplates such implied contract when it lays down that in so far as such proposal or acceptance is made otherwise than it would, the promise is said to be implied. Example 24. Where a coolie in uniform picks up the luggage of A to be carried out of the railway station without being asked by A and A allows him to do so. It is an implied contract and A must pay for the service of the coolie detailed by him. See, in this example, A has come from out of the train, and one coolie has come and take his luggage and do the action without saying to A. This is implied by the coolie that he is bound to get paid from A for providing this service to A. Example 25. A drinks a coffee in restaurant. There is an implied contract that he should pay for the price of coffee. Okay. Tacit contract. The word tacit means silence. Tacit contracts are those that are inferred through the conduct of parties without any word spoken or written. A classic example of tacit contract would be when cash is withdrawn by a customer of a bank from the automatic teller machine. Another example of tacit contract is where a contract is assumed to have been entered when a sale is given effect to at the fall of hammer in an auction sale. It is not a separate form of contract but falls within the scope of implied contract. See, tacit contract is a contract where a person takes out the money from the ATM so that he do that work without any spoken. Thus, this is a tacit contract. Quasi contract. A quasi contract is not an actual contract, but it resembles a contract. It is created by law under certain circumstances. The law creates and enforces legal rights and obligations when no real contract exists. Such obligations are known as quasi contract. In other words, it is a contract in which there is no intention on part of either party to make a contract, but law imposes a contract upon the party. Obligation of pointer of laws is to return them to the true owner or liability of person to whom money is paid under mistake. To repay it back cannot be said to arise out of a contract even in its remote sense, as there is neither offer and acceptance nor consent. These are said to be quasi contract. Okay. E-contract. When a contract is entered into by two or more parties using electronic means such as email is known as e-commerce contract. In electronic commerce, different parties person create network which are linked to other network through EDI, electronic data interchange. This helps in doing business transaction using electronic mode. These are known as EDA contract or cyber contract or mouse click contract. On the basis of performance of contract, executed contract. The consideration in a given contract could be an act of forbearance. When the act is done or executed or the forbearance is brought on the record, then the contract is executed contract. Example. When a grocery sells a sugar on cash payment, it is an executed contract because both the parties have done what they are they were to do under the contract. See, in executed contract, when when the parties who do the contract and they render the service or they do their job and they complete the contract, it is executed contract. Means both the parties have performed the contract, execute the contract. It is an execute in an executed contract. The consideration is reciprocal promise or obligation. Such consideration is to be performed in future only, and therefore this contract are described as executed contract, where G agrees to take the tuition of H, a pre-engineering student, from the next month, and H is consideration promises to pay G 1000 per month. The contract is executed because it is said to be carried out. See, in executive contract, if one of the party has performed his contract and another party is not performed the contract, these are the executive contract. There are two types of executive contract. One is unilateral contract and bilateral contract. Unilateral contract is a one-sided contract in which one party has performed his duty or obligation and the other party's obligation is outstanding. M advertise payment of about of 5,000 to anyone who finds his missing boy and brings him. As soon as B traces the boy, there comes into existence an executed contract between B as has performed his share of obligation and it remains for him to pay the amount of reward to B. This type of executed contract is called as unilateral contract. Bilateral contract. A bilateral contract is one where the obligation of promise is outstanding on the part of both the parties. Example 30. A promised to sell his plot to B for 1 lakh cash down, but B pays only 25,000 as earnest money and promises to pay the balance on next Sunday. On the other hand, A gives the possession of plot to B and promises to execute the sale deed on the receipt of the whole amount. The contract between A and B is executed because there remains something to be done on both sides. Some executed contract are known as bilateral contract. Okay. See, in bilateral contract, the both the parties have performed their duties and nothing is done unfinished. Thus, this is a bilateral contract. So now I am stopping here. Uh, in in next video, we will start proposal offer of the Indian Contract Act. Okay. First, we will see what we have studied till now. We'll revise what we have studied. Okay. We will see essential element of valid contract as per section 10. I will read out this flow chart. First is intention to create legal relationship. Second, lawful consideration. Third, capacity of parties. Fourth, legal formalities. Fourth, fifth, not declared to be void. Sixth, possibility of performance. Seven, certainty of winning. Eight, lawful object. Nine, free consent. 10, offer and acceptance. Okay. We will see first point we have studied offer and acceptance or an agreement. Offer acceptance or an agreement. See, in this offer and acceptance or agreement, we see that definition of agreement and what are offer and acceptance play a major role in this. Free consent. We should see that there is no coercion, unwillingness, fraud, mistake, and misrepresentation, so that there will be valid contract. And in the third point, we have the capacity of the party. See, in the capacity of party, we see that a person who is not unsound mind, who is a major and not disqualified by law. And in other point, we consideration, we see the consideration is something in return. And fifth one, lawful consideration objects. There should be lawful consideration objects. There should be legal. What there should be legality in them. After we have see that. PSC what are not explicitly declared to be void. CBS that the contract is not explicitly declared to be void. After that, we have seen the what are the types of the contract. I will explain it from here. Validity for the first point is validity or enforceability. Valid contract. You see here the contract should be valid. It should not be illegal and unenforceable or void. Void contract becomes void due to unforeseen event. Voidable contract. Voidable contract means that it is the option is available to the third party to see that to make the contract void or illegal. Sorry, void, valid or void. Illegal agreement. Illegal agreement means that the agreement is done for illegal terms, which is unlawful. And okay. And after that, unenforceable contract. Unenforceable contract means that an unenforceable contract means that it will happen after a certain few minutes of time. Unenforceable contract means that it will happen after a few time. Okay. Permission. Express contract means it is expressed by words or written. Implied contract, it is by doing the works. Quasi contract, it is by giving the service without telling anything. E-commerce contract means electronic commerce contract. And third point is performance, on the basis of performance. Executive contract, unilateral contract, bilateral contract. Okay, thank you.